Good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Beer Rating with Sean Connors. I'm going to do another round of beer roulette, and what that is, basically, I got probably 7, 8, 9 beers left in the fridge in a box for my beer club, and I'm just going to reach in and whatever I get, that's what I'll do a review on. It's a tough go, but I get to have a beer, so it's all good. So this one is Great Lakes Brewery 7-Barrel Series 2010 West Coast IPA. 6.5% alcohol. I find it hard to believe this is 2010. Especially where it says, please refrigerate, drink this beer fresh. Alright, so there's a little information on it. It says, on a particular hot and humid day in the unforgettably steamy summer of 2020, our brewers were faced with a dilemma. Smack in the midst of the pandemic and in the crosshairs of the haze craze, local malt suppliers had run out of flaked oats. Well, with flake oats being key to producing the hazy glow of the New England style IPA, it was suggested we go back in time, went way back in time, all the way back, in fact, to 2010 when IPAs were bitter, clarish, and utilized trendy new hops like Simcoe and Columbus. So we present this IPA to you, a relic from the distant past, a throwback, a beer that reminds one of the simpler times, a timely look in the rearview mirror, an ancient ghost, as it were, chilling. And out of Etobicoke, Toronto, which I believe is just outside Toronto. So this is one of the Beer Club beers, as I said, and with that becomes a newsletter, tells me a little bit about the brewery and the beer. So this one, there we go. Great Lakes Brewery says Great Lakes Brewery incorporated on February 12, 1987, so quite a ways back, and soon after opened their brewery at 155 Clark Boulevard in Brampton, Ontario. There were 5 co-founders who named the brewery Great Lakes because they dreamt of opening 5 breweries around the Great Lakes. Their brewery was purchased by the Bulut, B-U-L-U-T, Bulut family in 1991, who immediately noticed a change in revenue and was needed in order to expand. They moved the brewery to their present-day location in Etobicoke in 1892 and changed it to all-grain brewing. 34 years later, they are one of the oldest independent craft breweries in Canada. GLB invites you to visit the brewery for a taste of their award-winning beers. Like I said, this one is, it says unfiltered West Coast IPA. And honestly, I'm not sure if I've had a West Coast IPA. It looks like an IPA from 2010, unfiltered, clear, and golden in color. The aroma in this one features the sweet notes of candied orange peel, grapefruit, and fresh pine. The medium to full-bodied IPA produces flavor of lemon, pith, orange marmalade, and sticky pine resin from a very generous hop bill, while the malt backbone produces traces of honey, finishes very dry, very bitter, just like those 6.5 IPAs of yesteryears. Now, IPAs are one of these beers. In all honesty, when I started drinking craft breweries, when I started doing these reviews, I was not a fan of IPA. I found them too hoppy, too bitter, whatever the case might be. I find lately, occasionally now, I'm actually craving IPA again. I'm craving for the hoppiness. So tonight, I'm not quite sure how I'm feeling about it. As I said, I don't know if I've ever had a West Coast IPA. Good chance I might have, but not quite sure. So let's see what we got in store for us. So it's definitely a hoppy beer because I can smell the hops already. As I said, it's golden colored, fairly clear. And you say fairly clear, but that's actually not that clear after all. Okay, no, sorry. Well, it's unfiltered, so it's going to be, they say unfiltered, clear, and golden. So I'm not quite sure how you can get unfiltered and clear, because to me that's not clear. If it's clear, I should be able to see through it. Not saying that's a bad thing, but just surprising the way they describe it. It's definitely a hoppy beer. I mean, as soon as I was pouring, I can the aroma hits you, the hoppy aroma, and even more so when you actually get close and take a sniff. Now the big thing is, how does it taste? It tastes hoppy, but there's not a lot of aftertaste. I think they mentioned that too. You say finishes very dry, very bitter. Honestly, like when I first started doing beer reviews, if I had this, I would have went, no, not my thing. But actually, like I said, I do find myself craving IPAs lately, and this is actually quite nice. I don't think IPAs will ever be my go-to beer, but for me, it's kind of like stouts. Stouts aren't my go-to beer either. But every now and then, I really crave a stout, and every now and then, I really crave it, and even more often, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind an IPA or a stout. I find that IPAs are pretty well. I guess my beer taste buds are developing, and I find pretty well the same with IPAs lately. I kind of crave them every now and then. I don't think I'd be able to sit down and like drink several of them, but I definitely like an occasional one. So I have to get a rating. My ratings are always out of 5. A 1's a drain pour, don't like it, can't finish it. A 2 is like, yeah, I'm not a big fan, but I'll finish it. A 3 would be a good beer, a 4 would be a very good beer, and a 5 would be, wow, the best beer I've ever had. Now, where does this one sit for me? And all these ratings are only my personal taste. There's no science or anything else behind them. Honestly, I think I'm comfortable giving this one a 3.5. And before I go, actually, the graphics on their beer cans are pretty cool. So I just want to zoom in so you can see it. Some pretty neat graphics. Not that changes the how the beer is, but having some problems zooming in here, folks. So please bear with me for a second. All right, so we got the wizard on the can there. It's kind of cool. Good graphics. Good artwork. And the beer's not too bad either, so that's a plus. And I have another beer from this brewery. I think it's same thing. Good artwork on the can. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick with the 3.5. That's between a good and a very good beer. With that being said, I still want to have another mouthful and see if I'm going to stick with that rating. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that 3.5. And with that being said, that's a strong 3.5. Obviously, I'm finding it pretty easy drinking. So there you go, folks, for the GLB Great Lakes Brewery 2010 West Coast IPA 3.5. Till next brew, as always, enjoy responsibly. Cheers.